You're not too much, you're just living in a world that demands you to shrink so that others can feel more comfortable. Why? Because early in life, we learned that our full presence was too much for other people to hold. That our truth took up just a little too much space. That our aliveness rattled the room. And so naturally we began to tuck parts of ourselves away into neat little crevasses so that the world around us could feel more safe and secure, till only the acceptable parts of us remained. Well, it's time to call bullshit on that and realize that you didn't shrink because you wanted to be small. You shrank because the world lacked the nervous system capacity to receive all of you. And it's time to stand in your power regardless of how other people receive you. So by the end of this video, I want to resource you with the clarity, confidence, and connection to yourself and to your nervous system so that you can feel safe playing big, taking up space, and becoming all that you can be so that you can feel fulfilled in giving the fullness of your creative gifts to the world. So, if you're new here, my name's Kev and I help ambitious creatives get into their bodies and become more emotionally intelligent, because that's just where the juice happens, right? So let's first talk about how your too muchness, quote, isn't a flaw, but maybe just a distorted reflection of the world that we're living in, right? Because what someone really means when they say you're too much is, I don't know how to receive all of you. That's really what it is. You're more than I currently know how to receive. And that's not your responsibility, right? Someone's ability to meet you is not your fault. Now, there's a way that we can, of course, be attuned to this in a way that is respectful and offers an invitation of being able to meet somewhere in the middle. But as far as your aliveness goes and your creativity goes, you need to just give it your all, because that's the only way you're going to be fulfilled, right? But society's pathologized our sort of creative intensity, this more feminine wisdom, I guess you could say, and even the deep masculine strength, emotional depth, and non-linear thinking have all kind of been pathologized, like something's wrong with you, right? But as a creative, this keeps you small. Doubting your instincts and what I call editing your edges, you know, trimming back the edges so that they don't go too out there. They don't get too far in the woo. They don't get a little too sharp and prickly, right? But let it be full bleed. If you're familiar with design formatting, let your edges extend out and take up space, because burnout comes from sustaining this half-alive life for someone else for too long. When we grind our gears, when we just generate all this momentum in the name of satisfying everybody else, of making sure everybody else is comfortable, that's where we lose ourselves. That's where we burn out, That's where we get so focused on performance that we lose our true essence, which is what people want to feel, whether they can consciously say it or not. You weren't born to be fully digestible. You were born to be whole, right? And what your level of fullness and wholeness is your deepest creative gift to the world. Because when you are standing in your full truth, in your full expression, that is when you are authentic. And again, I don't want to mean full expression. People sort of take this the wrong way, or then they're just saying like they're saying things with the sharpness of a closed heart, and it has nothing to do with something out there. It's not outside of yourself. Being fully expressed isn't telling other people what's wrong with them or what you think could be better. Maybe, right? But being fully expressed is knowing how to own your shit, take full responsibility for yourself, open your heart, and speak from that place of depth and openness, and create from that place of depth and openness. It has nothing to do with other people. And I just want to speak to that because the shadow of full expression people think has to do with everyone out there. Me being fully expressed is, just being rude and open, unleashing the wildness of my heart onto other people. It's not. Just in the same way as being emotionally expressed does not mean putting your emotions at other people. It just means being able to hold your own emotions, right? So, taking a step out of that rabbit hole, though it's so necessary to speak to, I want to talk about the somatic cost of self-abandonment. Because when we believe that we're too much, we are abandoning ourselves, So every time we sort of tune ourselves down, our nervous system is registering that as betrayal. And that's deep. That's deep. What you're saying is, I feel safer being someone else that's not me, because that's how the world told me I should be. Damn, when did we get here, right? You're not to blame, but now you are responsible, right? And how we experience this cost of this self-abandonment is tightness in our throat when we want to express ourselves. This kind of contraction in our gut when we feel like we need to justify and over-explain something. Or just this fatigue and exhaustion of wearing this mask all the time so that people can find us more acceptable, right? More up to the standards that they need so that they can feel more safe and validated in their own self-concept. The real issue here is not being too much. It's the fear of being too real, right? Because think about what is at stake when we're too real. This perceived rejection, misunderstanding, or even this feeling of being unchosen. And look, you will have to walk through those doorways the more you step into your fullness, you take up space, and you really discover what it means to be authentic. And that's going to be painful. But what comes available to you on the other side of being more expressed, more grounded, more full, is you will be misunderstood and rejected and unchosen by the people that are not meant to be in your life. But you will 100% attract and magnetize a whole new caliber of human, a whole new caliber of potential opportunities, projects, places that are more resonant and aligned with the version of you that is powerful. People that can meet you and receive all of you as you take up more space, But when we're subscribed to playing small, the deep cost is sort of losing ourselves. And that's what I want to help you rewire, You learning to stay regulated while taking up space is not about being calm. It's about having the capacity to stay fully present as yourself. That the more of yourself you allow to come online, the more you can allow yourself to hold the pose of staying present before you start fawning, people-pleasing, and self-abandoning, right? When you learn that it is safe to be you, your system can feel safe enough so that your truth stops feeling dangerous because you are less attached to people out there making you feel safe, and you are more connected to being in your center, the only place that true safety actually exists. So what you express, what you creatively give, occurs as less of a threat and more as just a natural unfolding of who you are. So you don't need to take things personally. It's not dangerous to express yourself anymore because you'll understand that perhaps the The fear of rejection and the fear of being misunderstood actualizes, and that's okay. Maybe that's a great opportunity for connection with those people. Maybe that's an opportunity for you to recalibrate, realign, recenter, learn how can I open my heart more and still give fierce compassion. The list goes on and on and on. So all of this to say, the medicine that you're looking for is not found out there. It's not how do I make other people feel comfortable and find the blend of me that I feel safe sharing. It's realizing that my too muchness is not the problem. It's actually the portal calling me to become more of me. You know, my intensity is actually what is my aliveness. And my practice is learning to not direct the intensity at anyone, at anything in specific, but to learn how to circulate that energy, that creative aliveness inside of my system. If you want help facilitating that, I invite you to check out the Embodied Creator Toolkit. It'll help you to understand how to circulate your creative energy without pushing it out onto the world and needing to be validated, right? So your emotions are your truth, right? They're not something to hide, to be afraid of, to dim down. They're something that you need to learn how to widen and deepen your own capacity to hold so that you are less codependent on the world around you to meet you where you want to go. Rather, you focus on meeting yourself where you want to go, and naturally, people will meet you there. You know, and for those who might be a little creatively chaotic in taking, as you take up more space, it's not chaos, it's intelligence that's trying to make sense of itself, right? Your imperfectness, your messiness is sacred as fuck. Now give it a container, right? You need to find and create containers that are big enough to hold you. Whether that's relationships, whether that's workplaces, whether that's, you name it, workspaces even. Create containers that can hold your creative chaos. Because I can affirm you that the world doesn't want the polished version of your persona. It wants the unfiltered version of your soul right now, which might be deep, nurturing, and slow, and in the next moment might be animated, alive, full of energy, right? You're not a niche that's stagnant. You're a force of nature, right? You don't fit in because you're here to reshape the space, right? The space you are operating in is begging to be redesigned so that it can hold all of you. So let's bring the cows home, right? The fear of taking up too much space is going to cost you everything. It's going to cost you your voice, your vision, your vitality, but only if you keep believing that that's how you need to operate. Know that you don't need to become someone else in order to be loved. You just need to stop betraying who you truly are. So breathe, feel your spine, and say it with your chest. I'm not too much. I'm finally enough for myself, you know. All of me is welcome here. All the parts of me are lovable. And if someone else can't meet me and hold me, that's not their responsibility. Can I meet me and hold me and invite other people to hold me and meet me as well? Your realness is the true revolution you've been waiting for. So let it be fucking seen. And if you want help embodying the depth and fullness of you, check out the Embodied Creator Toolkit and sign up to my free newsletter where you'll get juicy stories every week sent straight to your inbox. So thank you all for being here. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Ciao!